When my parents divorced, I insisted on staying with my dad. I said I liked Aunt Stella because she was young, beautiful, gentle, and virtuous, and even gave me money to support my idol obsession. My mom, with tearful eyes, packed her things, turning back every few steps. I shouted at her, "Get out of our house. Only this way, Mom, can you survive?" I had to show them how treacherous the path of the mistress climbing her way up would be. "Hazel, this is my private savings. I know your favorite celebrity is touring next door. Your dad is too old-fashioned to understand what youth means for a girl. I support you. Stop studying and take a break." While I was doing my homework, Stella walked into my room and slipped an envelope into my book. It contained about 5,000 yuan. With a look of apparent kindness, she whispered as she left, "This is just our little secret between us girls." She didn't know I had been reborn in my senior year of high school, to ease my mother's suffering during their drawn-out divorce battle. I directly encouraged Dad to lay his cards on the table, pretending to embrace Stella while delivering cruel, heartless words to Mom, leaving her utterly devastated and with no choice but to leave in frustration. As she left the house, she lingered reluctantly, but I purposely snuggled up to Stella, coldly telling her to get lost. Stella was my dad's secretary, and over time, they ended up getting involved. In my past life, I thought she was a great person, the one who truly understood me. At the height of my rebellious phase, I was constantly at odds with my mom. All she ever cared about was my studies, never letting me do anything else. They say that only by broadening their horizons can girls have a better life, and education is the best path to achieve that. But Stella was different. She was gentle, discussing celebrities with me and telling me that my dad's company made an annual profit of 50 million. I was already born into privilege and just needed to enjoy life. After that, endless arguments with my mom ensued, my studies were neglected, and I muddled through an art university chosen by Stella to study acting, dreaming of becoming an overnight star. After Stella gave birth to a son for my dad, he gradually gave up on me. Finally, I blamed all my misfortunes on my mother. After a fierce argument with her, she panicked while crossing the street and met with an accident. Her blood pooled beneath the car like a crimson rope, a lifeline of vengeance that stretched to my feet, wrapping around my neck, choking the rest of my life in unbearable agony. Until one day, by chance, I overheard my brother complaining to Stella, "Mom, why didn't you just run Hazel over too? Now we have to share the inheritance with her." Only then did I realize, it was no accident. Everything was orchestrated by Stella, all because my father's will included a portion for me and my mother. "Stella, you made me mistake a thief for a mother for so many years, ruining the second half of my life in a daze without achieving anything." During dinner, my dad asked me how my studies were going. "You're in your senior year of high school now. I froze your bank card to make you focus on your studies. Learn to prioritize and stop staring at your phone drooling over handsome guys all day." Stella gave me a meaningful glance, then served my dad some food, urging him to calm down. Back then, I was fooled by her act just like this. She'd been setting me up for failure all along. In my past life, I secretly took the money and sneaked out at night, traveling alone to a neighboring city to chase after a celebrity. I ended up stranded without money to return home and got harassed by local thugs. This matter even reached my school nemesis, who spread rumors that I went to the neighboring city for a wild time. My classmates all looked down on me, and no explanation worked. Some boys even crudely asked if I would be willing to sell myself for 200 yuan a time. Deeply humiliated, I became even more reluctant to attend school, completely neglecting my studies. "Dad, why not?" If you won't support me, I still have Aunt Stella. Her support is enough. Look, here's the big red envelope Auntie gave me from her private savings." I slapped the money on the table, as defiant as ever. My father picked up the money, his authority radiating without anger as he counted the 100 yuan bills inside. He glanced at Stella, who was already trembling. "That's how you manage the child? Don't listen to the kid's nonsense." Stella stood up to serve soup, trying to deny that she was the one who gave the money. With digital currency being so advanced, wasn't her intention in giving me cash precisely because paper money is more discreet, leaving no transfer records and preventing my dad from finding out. I immediately played the recording on my phone, explaining that I had just been practicing English and oral exercises, and happened to record the conversation. During the recording playback, Stella stared at me with wide, disbelieving eyes, as if to say, "How could this dimwit do something like this?" My father glared coldly, slammed the table hard, confiscated the red envelope, and not only scolded Stella for failing to guide me onto the right path, but also seized on the key point in my words, secret savings, and revoked her credit card. My father called his assistant to arrange for several one-on-one tutors for me. From then on, my life would be confined to home and school, with no going anywhere else. Finally, he did not forget to warn Stella that if she continued to support my celebrity obsession or try to win me over, she would face the consequences. She nodded shakily and apologized profusely. "Dear Dad, I really want to thank you. This time I'm determined to get into my dream university." The teacher who showed no concern for me in my previous life was overjoyed, grinning from ear to ear, as my grades skyrocketed. Seeing me break into the top 60 in my grade and become her shining example in education, she knew her bonus was practically guaranteed if I got into a prestigious university. When I hesitated between local and out-of-town universities based on my college entrance exam results, my dad waved his hand decisively, "Choose the local one, it's closer to home and offers better support." He even promised me a 100,000 yuan bonus if I got the admission letter. Perfect. Staying would make it easier to ruin Dad and Stella's relationship. I filled out my college applications, took photos, and sent them to my mom, whom I hadn't contacted in a long time. My mom has always wanted nothing more than to see me get into college, receive higher education, and gain knowledge and depth. In my previous life, I was blinded by foolishness and followed Stella's suggestion, stubbornly insisting on studying acting. With so many students competing for spots, how could it possibly be my turn? To succeed in that field, you need talent, luck, connections, and financial backing, none of which I had. Back then, I was so naive to think I could get my father to invest in me. But later, when Dad had a son, and being the shrewd businessman he is, why would he pour money into a bottomless pit like me with no returns? "Mom, look, your daughter did it this time. She did it all by herself." My mom immediately called me back. I thought she would scold me for not contacting her for so long, but instead, she happily congratulated me and advised me to play it safe with my college applications. She wondered if economics might be too competitive and if I'd get rejected. "Oh, don't worry, Hazel. Study whatever you want. I'm just concerned about unforeseen setbacks. Lately, I've been watching videos, knock on wood, there's no need to overthink it." Her excitement during the call was palpable. Then, as expected, something unexpected happened. My college preference was tampered with and changed to the performance department of an unknown school. When I checked the admission information, the admitted institution was the performance department of a third-rate school. I was so shocked that I pinched my thigh hard, it hurt, otherwise I would have thought I had gone back to my previous life. The teacher posted the admission information of the entire class in the group chat, saying something like, "Together we are a fire, scattered we are stars in the sky." My classmates in the group chat were all mocking me, saying I'd lost my mind chasing celebrities, that I was desperate for fame, how else could I have chosen such a lousy school? They sneered that I clearly didn't know my own worth, wasting such high grades on this. Anger, shame, and the grievances from my past life surged within me, a tangled mess of emotions so sharp it made my tears flow uncontrollably. Was there really no escaping fate's cruel joke? Just then, Stella took my hand, gentle as a doting mother. "Hazel, didn't you always dream of studying acting, becoming a star, meeting your favorite celebrity at the pinnacle and ruling the entertainment industry?" She used the same manipulative words as she had in my previous life. But I was no longer the old Hazel, the naive girl who could be swayed by her sweet talk and lose sight of right and wrong. I went to the school to make a scene because someone tampered with my college application. This is a major incident. I'm no longer the naive little girl I used to be. After causing an uproar at the school, I went to the Education Bureau, and I even planned to expose it to major media outlets. In my past life, I didn't learn much, but I mastered the skill of media sensationalism and chasing trends. I barely scraped by writing all sorts of tabloid gossip. Yes, at first the school wanted to brush it off, but the public pressure grew too intense. The police even got involved, forcing them to review the surveillance footage and investigate layer by layer. I had to blow this up before my dad returned from abroad. Otherwise, he'd just think I was still that useless, brain-dead fangirl chasing celebrities and would give up on me all over again. In the end, it turned out to be my teacher. She exploited her position to alter my college application before the system submitted it. In my previous life, I just thought my teacher didn't like me and ignored me. But in this lifetime, she actually did something like this, trying to ruin me so completely. I overheard Stella talking anxiously on the phone at home. Who knows why she suddenly changed? In the past, she'd be dying to study acting. Don't push me, I know the police are investigating. Don't threaten me, remember your brother took that $500,000. If you dare, you know what'll happen. I stepped back in shock. It was actually Stella who orchestrated this. The police traced the money transfers and naturally found Stella as well, but they only discovered that she had sent $8,000 to each of the teachers. All the other teachers returned the money, except for my homeroom teacher, who kept it. Stella sobbed at the police station, complaining how hard it is to be a stepmother. She claimed she just wanted the teachers to take extra care of her child at school, and that my sudden academic improvement was thanks to her consideration. All sorts of lofty reasons, how the college entrance exam is a pivotal moment in a child's life, blah blah blah. In summary, everything was supposedly for my own good, all delivered with such practiced smoothness. He even specifically added, I've consulted about this, amounts under $10,000 don't count as bribery. The teacher also insisted that I had been disobedient for the past 3 years, frequently talking back, and that despite her guidance enabling me to apply to better universities, I deliberately chose a local one, ruining her chance at a hefty bonus. She held a grudge against me for my defiance and took revenge. It was all her doing, Stella had nothing to do with it. The case was closed, the teacher was fired, and sentenced to 1.5 years. Later, I went to the police station alone and told them about the phone call I overheard from Stella, asking them to investigate the financial transactions of the teacher's brother. I anxiously waited, only to find out from the investigation that the teacher's brother had a gambling habit and was always losing, but in the past year, there had been no financial transactions between him and Stella through the bank. Yet I clearly heard her say she gave him 500,000 yuan. The police also helped me investigate Stella's bank transactions. Since she works with my dad in business, there were many large transactions and withdrawals, but there was no transfer record indicating money was sent to the teacher's relative. I asked what if it was cash. After all, the last time Stella gave me a red envelope, it was cash. Cash has that kind of anonymity. If the teacher's brother used it to pay off gambling debts, there would truly be no way to trace it. In the end, the police sighed and said everything hinges on evidence. I might have misheard, or maybe she was talking to someone related to business. From what they knew, Stella could be considered a good stepmother. When the teacher was arrested, Stella almost tore the teacher's face apart. They also told me not to worry too much, as the case was already closed, and to focus on studying since there was still a long road ahead. Stella is really good at acting. She should have gone into acting. If I hadn't been reborn, I would have been completely fooled. Although I was careless this time and suffered a loss, she didn't have it easy either. My dad came back. When I went to pick him up at the airport, I tearfully buried myself in his arms and recounted the incident of my altered college application choices between sobs, lamenting my misfortune. This is what Stella was best at in her past life. This time, I'll just take her path and leave her with nowhere to go. As his biological daughter, am I really less important than you, a mistress who hasn't even gotten the marriage certificate yet? Then, in the car, mimicking Stella's tone, I lavished insincere praise while subtly insulting, gleefully stepping all over my dad's pet peeves. Dad, you wouldn't believe it, Aunt Stella even sent red envelopes and bank transfers to all my teachers, just so they'd give me special treatment at school. My dad's face darkened instantly. Gifts? Sent via bank transfers? Ha ha ha, isn't that just handing someone evidence to hold against you? Who would dare accept them? Who would dare cross that line? Of course, every cent would be refunded. As a seasoned player in the business world, my dad naturally knew that giving gifts should be discreet. Cash or presents were the way to go. Only a fool would send money transfers or digital red envelopes. So this is how you take care of my daughter? Not only did you send gifts through transfers, but you also let someone change her college application choices. My dad was furious and deeply disappointed with Stella, while I stood by his side, trying to calm him down. Stella, scolded into tears, forced a smile and kept murmuring that everything she did was for my own good. In my previous life, my father's fury was directed at me, scolding me for embarrassing him by failing to get into college, while Stella soothed him on the side. My father thought his main account was completely ruined. So, they quickly got married and started making a new baby. Within a year, my brother was born, and with the rebellious personality Stella had spoiled me into, I became my father's abandoned child. This time, seeing my refusal to attend a third-rate school, my father found me the best cram school, hired top tutors, and said, "One more year, aim for a better local university." He even gave me $200,000 to spend as I pleased, on the condition that I study hard and make him proud. Of course, I still plan to inherit all your wealth, Dad. Stella, during my repeat year, would occasionally bring me various celebrity merch, event schedules, and even expensive tickets to other cities. I turned them all down, citing academic priorities and not wanting to let my father down. She always followed my father's lead. Seeing me so driven and out of her control this time, she panicked. Originally, my father said they'd get married after my college entrance exams. Now, with me repeating the year, she had to wait another year. What if I get into a good university, graduate, and then join my dad's company right after? By the time her child is born and grows up, I will already have taken control of the company. Everything will have to follow my orders as the eldest daughter. She can't wait that long. I can't outright refuse my dad's request to remarry. After all, in this life, when my parents divorced, I even encouraged them to split quickly and supported my dad in finding true love. That was to free my mom from that useless marriage. In my previous life, she attempted suicide once and was barely saved after a long rescue effort. Of course, during this divorce, I secured more assets for my mom than in the previous life. I also reminded my dad to amend his will, removing my mom's name. I was afraid Stella might see it one day and attempt to murder her again. Mom, now that you're divorced, I hope you'll be happy. Everything that rightfully belongs to us, I'll take it all back myself. No matter how busy I am, as long as my dad is home, I'll personally brew him a cup of black tea and bring it to his study. I won't leave until I see him take a sip. I don't know what method Stella used, but one day when I turned to leave after delivering tea, my father called me back very solemnly. Your Aunt Stella has been with me for so long, and you were always an understanding child. I'm thinking of getting the marriage certificate in a few days. We can hold the wedding banquet after you finish your college exams. My father paused twice, afraid I might not accept it easily, before finishing his sentence. Dad, I support you. But Aunt Stella should give me a little brother before you can marry her officially. I blurted out, hitting right where it hurt my dad the most. Though he never showed it in front of me, his deep-rooted preference for sons over daughters was undeniable. In my past life, I had witnessed firsthand how he doted on that younger brother of mine. I even went out of my way to argue with Dad, competing for his attention, only to end up pushing him further away, like trying to steal a chicken only to lose the rice. My answer caught him off guard, and he picked up his teacup, taking a big sip. Hazel, you're really thoughtful. Yeah, Dad, it's not that I'm being overly cautious, but there are just too many women scamming men out of money in the news. Not that I don't trust Aunt Stella, but you never know, right? I raised an eyebrow. You've really grown up. Alright, I'll listen to you. Dad took another sip of tea. Good daughter, you know how to care for me, making me tea every day. Then he picked up his phone and swiped a couple of times. Just like that, 300,000 landed in my account. TSK, my dad's money is so easy to earn. In my past life, Stella and my brother did this every single day without fail, serving tea and water, just to earn his favor. This time I cut in and took their chance. Of course, I'm not just treading Stella's path to leave her with nowhere to go. I'm playing a grand game, one that I absolutely won't lose. Stella was overjoyed to hear my dad mention having a baby first. It was exactly what she wanted. She couldn't wait to get pregnant. My dad is 41, and Stella is 29, the perfect age for childbearing. She was confident she could conceive a boy in one go. She endlessly consumed all sorts of supplements for pregnancy prep. She even strutted around the house in various sexy silk nightgowns, doing her best to seduce him. In a way, she redirected her focus and stopped obsessing over my repeat studies and exam prep. It was a win-win for me, as I gained some quiet time for my revision. It wasn't until I retook the exams and received the admission letter from a prestigious local university that she panicked. Over the past year, she actually didn't get pregnant. It would have been better if she hadn't caused trouble and just waited until after my college entrance exams to marry my dad. Now, how is she going to bring it up with him? They will never know that the tea I serve my dad every day contains medication, a slow-acting hormone drug with no side effects, except that prolonged use renders men infertile. Hee. The teacher taught me that the best way to solve a problem is to target its root cause. I'm smart, I figured it out quickly. The lessons from my past life taught me not only to strive for success and get into a good university but also to become the sole legal heir of this family. Sorry, my wretched little brother, this lifetime, you'll just have to find another family to be reborn into. Big sister is doing this for your own good. My dad threw me a grand college celebration banquet, proudly showing off in front of his relatives and friends. He was absolutely overjoyed. Some of them flattered, saying, "Congratulations, congratulations. A daughter is just as good as a son." From now on, Hazel should definitely get more involved in the company to lay the groundwork. My dad was stunned for a moment, glanced at me, then burst into laughter and chimed in. Yes, daughters are wonderful. Those words might have been just polite conversation, but they were indelibly branded into Stella's heart, lurking in the corner, shattering her fragile nerves. After all, a year of trying to conceive had already driven her to obsession. To her ears, those words were nothing but mockery of her inability to bear a son. That night at home, Stella completely lost it, even going so far as to blame my father, something she had never done before. Her resentful demeanor was utterly unfamiliar. You must understand, in both lifetimes I've known her, Stella has always maintained that delicate, obedient White Lotus image. Later, my dad casually remarked that Stella had gained weight. After years of obsession and my father's emotional manipulation, that single remark instantly ignited Stella's fury. In a flash, she stood up and confronted my dad. "What's wrong with being fat? It's all for trying to conceive a son." Then came the endless tantrums, insisting she'd been medically checked, no issues on her end, capable of bearing children. The underlying implication being, the problem lies with my dad. What man could stomach such an accusation? Moreover, with me, his daughter, as proof, he'd never accept infertility as plausible. My father's face was dark, and I could see the veins bulging on his hand. I waited for them to go to the hospital for the checkup, waited for their despair when they saw the results. I quickly took a sip of water to hide my malicious smile. However, Stella suddenly realized something and changed her temper, softening again. She began putting on an excellent act of innocence, sniffling and crying pitifully, and my dad just ate it up. Seeing the situation wasn't progressing well, I had no choice but to retreat to my room and browse short videos online. By chance, I came across a local dance video featuring a suggestive male performer, and Stella had actually liked it. Stella is young and beautiful, and the only reason she would be interested in my 40-year-old father is for his wealth. Just like today, when she was clearly about to explode, she somehow managed to hold it back. As I scrolled through this flirtatious guy's profile, a perfect plan came to mind. My teacher once said that to solve a problem, you have to find the right approach. If one method doesn't work, try another. Stella wants a child, doesn't she? Well, I'll give her one. Less than 2 months after school started, Stella got pregnant. My father was overjoyed, grinning from ear to ear. The more intimate and warm their situation seems now, the messier it'll be later. I can't wait. I'm so excited, I'm going to have a little brother, and I love little brothers the most. Congratulations, Dad. I immediately placed orders for a stroller and a crib. Stella spoke in a commanding, superior tone, as if she were the mistress of the house. No need to rush, the baby won't be coming that soon. I dodged the question, saying I got home early to air out the smell. But what I really thought was, this isn't for my little brother, it's to send you out of our home. My dad happened to have business out of town and couldn't immediately register their marriage, so he hired 2 more nannies to take care of Stella at home. I'll say it straight, 2 won't do, it's gotta be 4. Only 4 can protect my soon-to-arrive little brother. As the old saying goes, to destroy someone, first let them swell with pride. This child must not suffer the slightest mishap. The later the pregnancy, the greater the pain during the abortion. And all this? It's nothing compared to what Stella did to me and my mom in our past life. Later, my father returned home. He had just closed a major deal outside, and at home, on one side, a daughter bringing glory to the family, and on the other, Stella with her pregnant belly. Truly, spring winds of joy spur the horse's hooves. Stella kept clamoring for a proper status, and my dad was just about to agree after being sweet-talked. I tugged at him discreetly, reminding him of our previous conversation about waiting until a son was born before marrying her. How about we check the baby's gender first? I whispered to my dad. What, would you abandon it if it's a girl? This is my first child, and you're a girl too, how can you be so heartless? Stella frantically pointed at my face, calling me shameless. But this time I wasn't the pushover from my past life. I effortlessly turned her own tactics against her, putting on a pitiful look for my dad. On matters like this, my dad couldn't afford to back down. Tomorrow, go check whether it's a boy or a girl. Either way, we'll keep it. It's good to know in advance so we can prepare baby supplies. My dad made an excuse, he also wanted to know the gender. If it was a son, he'd be overjoyed and rush to my grandfather's grave to share the good news. Since it was still early in the pregnancy, they did an amniocentesis. The DNA test revealed XY chromosomes, a son. Stella immediately straightened her back, and the way she looked at me changed completely. As expected, the mother basks in the son's glory. But don't celebrate too soon, I've been waiting for you. Only when you're at your most triumphant, your most confident, can I drag you down for good and cut off all future trouble. After they had chosen the date for marriage registration and the wedding, I reluctantly went to my father with a troubled expression. Without saying a word, I just sat in the study. Hazel, what's wrong today? Aren't you happy that your dad is getting married? My father spoke first. Facing me, who had now achieved success, he probably still felt some guilt. When I was a child, he was busy with his business and never spent time with me. In my previous life, he compensated for that absence by doting on my younger brother. Didn't you support me? Dad put down his pen and took a sip of the tea I had brought in. Dad, My hesitant demeanor completely piqued his curiosity. He kept pressing me about what was wrong, whether I was short on money, dating someone, or worried that my new brother would compete with me for the family assets. He assured me that I could take care of the company's affairs first and that he'd give me more money if I didn't want to. Dad, I'll just say it straight. I overheard the maids chatting about a man who's always lurking around our house. They even saw Aunt Stella meeting him outside. I looked up at my dad, watching as he sank into deep thought, and bluntly pointed out, Dad, think about it, you two tried for so long to conceive without success. How is it that right after that big fight, she got pregnant so soon. Men have always been extremely cautious about matters concerning their offspring since ancient times. And with the following sentence I uttered, the conflict escalated once again, my father's expression gradually contorting with rage. That guy looks a lot like a minor influencer. Aunt Stella wouldn't be using our family's money to support a pretty boy, would she? My dad might be decisive, but he had just forced Stella to undergo an amniocentesis for gender testing. If we go for an amniocentesis paternity test, the baby could be harmed and easily miscarried. What if the child is my dad's? Losing a child in his old age would be unbearable for him. If we don't do it, this sword of Damocles hanging over my father's head keeps him awake at night. Moreover, the set date for registration is imminent. Pressured beyond measure, my father actually took the initiative to go to the hospital to check his fertility. I saw the test results in the study, oligospermia. Ah, what a shame, I guess I didn't dose him heavily enough. My father grew visibly haggard all at once, struck by the dual blows of betrayal and lost virility, two fatal weaknesses for a man. He aged 10 years in an instant, with white hair sprouting all over. These past 2 days, my dad and Stella have been fighting nonstop, turning the house upside down. My dad called Stella a bitch and accused her of cheating, but Stella adamantly denies it. Low sperm count doesn't mean pregnancy is impossible, it's just less likely. As for me, I watched this chaotic, absurd mess unfold, covering my mouth as I couldn't help but burst into laughter. The hospital also advised against a paternity test, and my dad has no solid evidence to prove Stella's infidelity. It all comes down to whether Stella dares to have the baby and take the test afterward. But you know what? I don't want to wait. For one, I've already discovered Stella's plan to fake a miscarriage, ensuring this matter dies without proof. Second, I simply couldn't stand having Stella in my home anymore. Her presence constantly reminded me of the pain from my past life, my mother's death, my father's indifference, and the complete mess my life had become. I contacted that borderline guy and told him the mission was over. The nanny handed me the envelope. I took it, pretending it was something I'd been waiting for, and couldn't wait to tear it open. Photos scattered across the floor. As the nanny bent down to pick them up, she suddenly screamed. There are compromising photos of Stella with a pixelated man in various positions, as well as pictures of Stella spreading cash over the man's body. My dad and Stella rushed over upon hearing the noise. My dad was so angry he started throwing things. Stella hurriedly packed her things while insisting it was all computer-generated, that someone was trying to blackmail her. Then I pulled a USB drive from the envelope, filled with recordings, a full 100 gigabytes of footage. I have to say, Stella's bedroom skills were impressive, no wonder she had my father so infatuated, keeping her tucked away in a love nest. My father was furious, his eyes bloodshot. His usually slicked back, prim and proper hair practically stood on end. He immediately kicked Stella out of the house. Outside, the heavy rain poured, thunder roaring. Never before have I loved a storm as much as I did today. Stella wailed in the pouring rain, frantically pounding the ground. The rainwater soaked through her dress before she staggered to her feet, stumbling away. A glaring streak of red flowed down her thigh, instantly washed clean by the rain. It seemed to carry away even the crimson rope that had once coiled around my neck in my past life. Now, I felt an indescribable lightness. She collapsed again, unable to rise. I called out, "Dad, Stella has fainted." My father glanced at the baby carriage I had bought in the living room, a reminder of Stella's betrayal. He grabbed the carriage, flung open the door, and threw it out. "Don't bother with her, it's just one of her usual tricks." My dad slammed the door shut and went back to his room. It was the housekeeper who couldn't bear to watch any longer and called an ambulance to take Stella away. No one knew, nor would they bother to investigate where these photos and videos came from. Stella thought the man was trying to blackmail her, and my father was even less willing to look into it. Only I knew that it was me who stumbled upon this local risque male influencer on the app that day, and beneath his post were Stella's likes and comments. I wired him the money directly, telling him to pursue a certain woman. I provided all the info and schedules. guess what? The sleazy guy straight up asked me, is the target the mistress or the wife? His business skills were ridiculously polished. I warned him not to ask too many questions, just seduce her into bed and knock her up. Money wasn't an issue, right now, I'm absolutely loaded. For him, it was a win-win, sleeping with a beauty and getting paid. And judging by his reaction, this definitely wasn't his first rodeo. After all, it was all a matter of mutual consent. Even without this boundary-pushing guy, Stella would have found another man to get pregnant with. I did this for my dad's sake, to prevent future troubles, hee. In my past life, didn't they also use the excuse of doing it for my own good to carry out actions that undermined and trampled on me under the guise of benefiting me? Stella is gone, and now the house is finally clean. From great joy to great sorrow, my dad was hit hard by this sudden series of events. He often couldn't sleep at night, lamenting his misfortune in meeting the wrong people. Just like that, feeling depressed and gloomy, in less than a month, the nanny found him passed out and sent him to the hospital. It turned out to be a mild stroke caused by a brain blockage. I took 2 weeks off from classes, busying myself back and forth with the caregivers, and only then did my dad recover. My dear Dad, it's not your time to fall yet. I haven't graduated yet, I'm not ready to take over your company, you can't collapse now. The doctor said he needs to come in for regular checkups and receive 4 drips twice a year to prevent a recurrence. After returning home, my dad held my hand, tears streaming down his face, murmuring about how good it is to have a daughter, that I am his closest person in the world. Adversity reveals true feelings, and he thanked me for my selfless efforts during this time. Dad, what are you talking about? As your child, this is what I should do. I took out the medicine and placed it in his palm. Yes, my dear daughter. How about learning the business with me now? I know you're studying management, getting involved with the company would be beneficial. My dad smiled kindly, noticing that I remained silent. It's selfish of me. You're still at an age where you should be studying and having fun, yet I'm asking you to help me. Sigh. Dad, I'm willing to learn. Not for any other reason, but because of your illness, I need to share the burden for you. I relaxed my brow, putting on the appearance of a devoted and filial child. The hardships of my past life have taught me that true happiness, protection from being trampled upon, and the ability to safeguard those I truly care about can only be achieved by single-mindedly focusing on my career and firmly controlling the company's assets in my own hands. For the past 6 months, I haven't had time to take care of my mother. I was also worried Stella might trouble her or flaunt her success, just like in my previous life when Stella angered my mother to the point of hospitalization, leaving her with lasting health issues. So, I encouraged my mother to join a tour group and travel across the country, enjoying the beauty of our land while also taking her mind off the divorce. When my mother returned, I went to pick her up at the airport right away. I vividly recounted everything about Stella to her, letting her vent her anger and find satisfaction. I thought she would burst into laughter and curse my father for his blindness, but she didn't. She just sighed and lamented, what goes around comes around. Then, Mom still cared most about my health and whether I was facing any difficulties in my studies. Hearing that everything was normal and I had even won a second-class scholarship. Mom finally showed a relieved smile, reminding me to take care of my health and not push myself too hard. She wanted me to be cultured and knowledgeable, but not to overexert myself. Once again, I was moved by this omnipresent maternal love and hugged Mom as we walked forward. Mom, your daughter is not only healthy and excelling in her studies but is also learning business management at the company now. In the future, I'll earn money and take care of you. My mom teased me, saying I've grown capable, but in her eyes, I'm still a baby. Yes, I'll always be Mommy's little baby who never grows up. Using the excuse of being too busy shuttling between school and work, I moved to my mom's place closer to campus. Now I can be with Mom every day. No more nightmares about my mother's tragic death in my previous life. With just a turn, I can confirm she's right by my side. Later, my dad would often approach me, asking me to persuade my mom to move back home, clearly wanting to reconcile. I pretended not to hear, letting them sort out their own issues. After all this time of self-reflection, my mom finally realized that leaving the marriage allowed her to do whatever she wanted, living a carefree and independent life. She no longer had to worry about that wretched old man's nonsense and even looked younger than before. There was no way she'd agree to remarry. She was thoroughly enjoying her rich retirement. When she went dancing, even some gentlemen tried to flirt with her, which infuriated my dad so much he nearly had another stroke and ended up in the hospital again. Having suffered in my previous life, I understand the hardships of business and how hard-earned money can be. Since it's my own company, I've been learning extremely diligently in every department. Even some senior directors, my father's peers, have praised me for being down-to-earth and quick-witted, rare among the privileged heirs. While accompanying the investment director on a business meeting, I noticed that the partner's secretary was none other than Stella. When she saw me, she startled and took a step back. If it had been an honest job, her reaction would have been excessive. After some digging, I found out Stella had returned to her old ways, being a mistress. I gathered all the evidence of Stella's infidelity, cheating, and carrying another man's child, then mailed it to the boss's wife. From what I've heard, this lady isn't as easy to deal with as my mom, and this boss is nothing like my dad, who could make his own decisions. This boss, you see, initially took over the company's operations as a son-in-law by marrying the lady. TSK. Later on, I heard Stella was stripped naked and thrown out onto the street, and that boss never showed up from start to finish. The lady even made sure to spread the news about Stella throughout the socialite circles, effectively cutting off Stella's career as a mistress in City A. She had no choice but to slink away from City A in disgrace. By the time I graduated, I had already taken over most of the company's operations. I also introduced elements that appealed to younger audiences. Thanks to my rebirth, I understood market trends and created a hit project, investing in a trending venture that earned the company a substantial profit. Perhaps because my father saw no hope of remarrying and felt lonely at home, he gradually became addicted to the favorite pastime of middle-aged men, fishing. I remember in my previous life, my father became a vegetable due to drowning, allowing Stella and her son to take control of the company and leave me without a penny. After all, he's my biological father. All I can do is frequently persuade him not to go fishing and instead play more golf. I really don't understand, what's the allure of fishing that's so irresistible? I even hired a feng shui master to tell him his destiny aligns with fire, and since water clashes with fire, he should avoid riversides to prevent accidents. None of this could dampen his passion for fishing. However, he did change from wild fishing by the river to angling at fish ponds, claiming that with staff supervision, there'd be no mishaps. Forget it, whatever will be, will be. I have so much going on at the company, and I don't have time to keep an eye on him all the time, so I just bought a high-value accident insurance policy for Dad. In the yard pond and the fridge at my dad's house, there are all the fish he caught. Both my mom and I find the smell unpleasant, so we rarely go back. I watch the company's business thrive, and my mom looks younger and more vibrant every day. Under the sunlight, I smiled and smiled until tears streamed down my face. Life is so good now.